Emma stood on the cracked concrete porch, clutching the keys in her shaking hand. The house loomed before her like a forgotten memory, faded green siding, broken windows, an overgrown yard choking in weeds. The real estate agent had called it a fixer-upper with potential. Her family called it a junk heap. But to Emma, it was the first thing in her life that was truly hers. She had used her entire inheritance, $90,000 left by her grandfather, not to buy a new car, or pay off her student loans, or fund her younger sister Chloe's yoga retreat in Arizona, like her mother demanded. Instead, she bought this neglected two-bedroom in a dying town in upstate New York. You what? Her mother had shrieked when Emma broke the news. You spent all of it? On that piece of garbage? While your sister needs healing. Emma had tried to explain, calmly at first. I need something of my own. Something real. Her mother's lips curled. Then live like junk, she spat. Don't come crawling back when the rats start nibbling your face. The next day, her father packed up the rest of Emma's things and left them on the curb. Chloe didn't even come outside. No goodbye. No hug. Just a text message that read, You embarrassed all of us. Good luck in your trash palace. Emma didn't cry. Not then. Not when the front door groaned open on rusted hinges. Not when she saw the peeling wallpaper, the caved-in ceiling, the refrigerator that smelled like something had died inside it 3 years ago. She didn't cry even when the toilet wouldn't flush and the heat wouldn't come on. But she cried that night. Alone. On a sleeping bag in the middle of the bare living room floor. The air so cold her breath came out in clouds. She pressed her face into her coat sleeve to muffle the sound. Not from regret, but from hurt. The kind of deep, bruising hurt that only family can inflict. The next morning, she got up. She made a list. Fixed the front window. Bleached the mold in the bathroom. Patched the roof. It was overwhelming, almost laughable. But she did the first task. She took out the trash. 3 days later, she posted a photo on TikTok. Her in overalls, covered in dust, smiling beside a pile of old wood she'd cleared from the porch. The caption read, This is what a $90,000 mistake looks like, day one. The comments poured in, some mocking, some supportive. But Emma didn't care. She'd started something. That evening, she received a voicemail from her mother. You made your choice, her mother said coldly. Don't expect us to come running when it all falls apart. Emma replayed the message twice before deleting it. She looked out the broken window, the twilight casting shadows over the cluttered lawn. No, she whispered. I won't expect anything from you ever again. And just like that, she felt lighter. Not healed. Not whole. But free. Emma quickly learned that houses didn't care about your dreams. On day 4, a pipe burst under the kitchen sink, spewing rusty water all over the rotted floorboards. She slipped trying to shut off the main valve and bruised her ribs. That same night, the power went out. The heater died again, and the wind crept through every gap in the windows like icy fingers dragging across her skin. She could have stayed at a motel, could have called a friend, but her pride and her bank account refused. Instead, she wrapped herself in 3 layers of clothes, boiled water on a camping stove to wash her face, and kept patching the holes in the walls with whatever she could find. Day by day, room by room, Emma fought to reclaim the space. Not just from dirt and decay, but from the voices in her head echoing her mother's words, then live like junk. And so she did. For now. What she didn't expect, though, was the internet. Her TikTok, meant as a personal diary, slowly gathered traction. The first video got 3,000 views. Then 10,000. Then someone stitched it with the comment, This girl bought hell for $90,000. Respect. That clip alone hit 2.1 million views. Suddenly, she wasn't just the girl who got kicked out. She was the junk house girl. People were invested. Every clip she posted, pulling out old nails, bleaching the bathroom walls, fixing the cursed toilet, came with thousands of comments. Some were judgmental, should have gone to trade school. Others offered advice, use vinegar and baking soda on the mold. But the ones that mattered most were the strangers who said, Watching you rebuild makes me feel like I can rebuild too. You're proof that starting over doesn't mean failure. One day, a woman named Carla from Ohio messaged her. I own a small renovation supply shop. Want me to send you some tools? Emma cried when the box arrived, not because it had fancy gear inside, but because someone believed in her. Meanwhile, her family stayed silent. Until they didn't. Chloe posted an Instagram story with a blurry photo of Emma's house and the caption, She could have helped me heal. Instead, she's playing construction Barbie. It stung more than it should have. But Emma didn't respond. She was busy laying new tiles. Her hands blistered, her nails chipped and ragged, her arms a canvas of bruises and old paint. But her eyes sparkled more than they ever had in her parents' pristine, spotless home. Then came the day of the leak. It was past midnight when she heard the sound, soft, steady, terrifying. She ran to the back bedroom and saw water dripping from the ceiling onto the freshly sanded floor. Rain had found a way in. Again. She stared at it, heart sinking. Of course, she muttered. Why not? She could feel the panic clawing at her throat. The weight of everything, the isolation, the cold, the exhaustion, came crashing down. For a split second, she thought about calling her mom, just to hear her voice, just to ask what to do. But then she remembered. Her mom had already said what she needed to say. Then live like junk. Emma grabbed a bucket, placed it under the drip, and sat beside it in silence. It echoed with every drop, like a cruel little metronome ticking through her failures. And yet, she didn't feel broken, just tired and alive. She picked up her phone and hit record. Camera facing her bruised face, she whispered into the lens. Tonight, I wanted to quit. But then I realized, junk doesn't quit. It becomes something new. It was raw, unfiltered, real. By morning, it had 500,000 likes. It all changed with the pantry door. Emma had been documenting small wins, cleaning the floors, sealing windows, repainting the kitchen cabinets. But the pantry door was different. It had been stuck shut since the first day she moved in. Most people would have torn it down, but Emma made it a project. She sanded the frame, repaired the hinges, and finally pried it open on camera. What spilled out wasn't food, but old jars of nails, a toolbox, a yellowed note taped to the inside wall that read, "This house is worth fighting for." Emma froze. She didn't know who had written it, maybe a past owner clinging to hope, but it struck something deep. She stood there in silence for almost a full minute before whispering, "Yeah, it really is." She uploaded the video. It went viral. 2 million views in 3 days. Comments flooded in. "You were meant to find that note." I cried. "You're inspiring people you'll never meet. You're not just fixing a house, you're fixing yourself." Suddenly, brands started reaching out. A regional tool company offered her a sponsorship. A paint manufacturer sent her 10 gallons of high-end primer. Home Depot reposted her story on their Instagram. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was building something. Emma renamed her account at Junkhouse Queen. She created a series called Fixing What They Said Couldn't Be Fixed. She made tutorials, simple, clumsy, honest. She didn't pretend to be an expert. That was the charm. She showed her failures, mismeasured boards, upside-down tiles, falling off a ladder, and laughing instead of crying. People fell in love with her resilience. She hit 100,000 followers in 6 weeks. One morning, an email landed in her inbox from a producer at HGTV. They were filming a pilot series on ordinary women rebuilding extraordinary homes. They wanted her to be in it. Emma dropped the phone. For hours, she sat on the kitchen floor, now covered in clean linoleum she had laid herself, and just stared at the wall, trying to breathe through the disbelief. But it wasn't just the show offer. Something else had shifted. She started getting letters. Handwritten ones. People who saw themselves in her. Divorced moms. Recovering addicts. Women kicked out by family. Teenagers who had nowhere to go but wanted to build something of their own. One message read, "You made me believe that broken things can be whole again. Thank you." Another simply said, "Watching you gives me strength on days I don't think I deserve to wake up." Emma wasn't just fixing drywall anymore. She was helping people glue themselves back together. Meanwhile, the house transformed. The living room gleamed with warm lighting and a second-hand couch she reupholstered. The bathroom had a working toilet and painted tiles in soft ocean colors. The porch was clear, with a vintage swing bench that creaked sweetly at dusk. It still wasn't perfect. There were cracks in the plaster, the backyard looked like a junkyard, and the roof still leaked sometimes. But it was hers. Every inch of it soaked in effort, love, and stubborn defiance. And then, one morning, everything paused. Her doorbell rang. Emma opened it. And there, on the front steps of the house they once called trash, stood her mother. Dressed in a crisp beige coat. Face made up. Eyes calculating. Behind her, Chloe scrolled her phone. Sunglasses perched atop her head like a crown. Emma blinked. "Hi," her mother said. "We need to talk." Emma didn't move. Her mother stood on the porch, eyes scanning the new siding, the flower boxes under the windows, the welcome mat that read homegrown strength. Chloe looked bored, chewing gum and tapping at her screen. Emma, her mother said, voice softening. Sweetheart, can we come in? Emma blinked. The wind brushed her hair across her face, but she didn't move. Why? She asked, flatly. Her mother forced a chuckle. Well, I saw the videos. Your place. You've done wonders. I didn't think, well, never mind. We thought maybe we could start over. Emma looked down. Her hands, once shaky and unsure, now bore calluses and tiny paint stains. She remembered bleeding fingers, mold-stained walls, nights wrapped in blankets with a flashlight, crying from exhaustion. You told me I was garbage, Emma said, her voice calm but cold. You said, live like junk. Remember? Her mother's face tightened. Emma, that was a hard time. We all said things. Chloe finally spoke, voice flat. Can we just come in? It's cold. Emma stepped forward, but not to open the door. To do what? She asked. Take pictures? Film your own redemption arc? Post how proud you are of me now that I've got something you want. A flicker of irritation crossed her mother's face. You don't have to be like this. Like what? Emma snapped. Independent? Free? Unashamed? Chloe rolled her eyes. God, you're so dramatic. Mom said we could all stay here a few days. Our lease ended, and the new apartment isn't ready yet. There it was. The truth. Not love. Not reconciliation. Need. Emma exhaled slowly. A year ago, that might have broken her. She might have opened the door, just for a taste of acceptance. But she wasn't that girl anymore. Behind her, the warm scent of baked bread filled the air. Inside, her rescue dog barked softly, wagging its tail. A candle flickered on a handmade table she'd sanded and painted herself. This was home. Hers. Not theirs. I'm sorry, she said. And for once, she meant it. Not for them, for herself. For the years she begged for approval, shrank herself to fit inside their version of good. You're not welcome here. Her mother's mouth fell open. What? Emma's voice didn't shake. I don't owe you this space. I don't owe you comfort after the way you discarded me. I built this life when no one believed I could. You don't get to benefit from it now. Chloe scoffed. You think you're better than us now? Emma met her eyes. No. I think I'm better than I was. She stepped back, closed the door gently but firmly. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was sacred. Inside, she sat down at the kitchen table and opened her laptop. A new email waited from the HGTV producer. The pilot was greenlit. Filming started in 6 weeks. Emma smiled. That night, she posted one last video. It showed her sipping tea on the porch, the garden behind her blooming, the sky turning gold. Caption. They said it was a junk house. I made it a home. They left me behind. I found myself. The comment section exploded. Support. Applause. Stories from others who'd chosen to stand alone and rise anyway. Emma leaned back in her chair, watching the sun dip low. She had been abandoned, mocked, frozen, broken. But now? Now she was unshakable. Now she was in. And the door? It stayed closed.